All right, what's going on, everybody? How is everybody doing? Tomorrow is Friday and the weekend begins. All right, so we'll start this stream off with kind of a rant. So recently, background. I'm a big history buff. I enjoy going to museums and seeing old things and history and, stuff like that. So I've watched a good bit of stuff on various histories from Townsend's making, 1800s food to, archaeological digs, stuff like that. I really enjoy history. Maybe in another life I would have been a history professor, but not in my cards anyway. So, I want to tell this story about this video I watched the other day. It was a documentary about the effects of, or the consequences of World War I and World War II on the consumption of cigarettes. And it's like, okay, be interesting to kind of, see their perspective on it and all that kind of stuff. So their video basically, according to them, no one in the United States, Europe, smoked at all, more or less to their narrative. And I know that's not true. I've watched enough stuff on this kind of thing to know that most people in the early, 1900s smoked pipes. More wealthy people tended to smoke cigars, like Rockefellers and, more affluent people. But most people smoked pipes. But a lot of people smoked. And they kind of just glossed over that fact. And, then they talked about during World War I, a huge boom in cigarettes. And it, before that, women traditionally smoked cigarettes because pipes weren't seen as ladylike. Fast forward to World War II, more people smoked. And it just pissed me off because I knew they were factually not telling the truth about the history. And, so it just kind of pissed me off. And the moral of that story is, I think, really important for people that consume a lot of YouTube, like my viewers and me. Just because somebody shows a narrative doesn't mean that's actually what happened. The old history is written by the victors, not the defeated. And it just rubbed me really, really wrong that they were discounting the fact that most of the country smoked pipes. So anyway, my little rant about crack pipes. No actual pipes, from a fellow cigar smoker there. Stars Cars, Glenn over there, talking about the fact that most of the country smoked pipes, but with tobacco. So, Richard, what's up? D. Harley, retired, only 365 vacation days this year. Nice. 2GR Tools, thoughts on back pressure testing with an in-cylinder transducer on a turbo engine? How much extra restriction does a turbo offer? I had a P0299 today, thought about going in-cylinder, but wasn't sure how much to expect the results to be off. At 3K no loan, is there much restriction? I have honestly... Renegade, no. Tobacco. Not wacky stuff. strictly talking about cigarettes. It was a video that I watched that they basically, it was to recap the first part of the stream, video about the rise of cigarettes because of World War I and World War II. And the video's narrative was that basically nobody in the United States or Europe smoked tobacco. And then world wars happened, and because they were sending it over in care packages, everybody wound up smoking cigarettes. And it wasn't the case. They smoked pipes. I mean, British soldiers were given a ration of tobacco along with a ration of tea during World War I. But anyway, it was just something that irritated me, and I wanted to rant on it. But honestly, 2GR, I have no idea. One, it would depend on where you tap into in the exhaust system. Because if you tapped in at the tailpipe, it'd be, a good bit of reduction from leaks and vents in the exhaust system. If you tapped in after the cat at the O2 sensor, it'd be after the cat restriction. If you did upstream of the cat at the first, O2 sensor, it'd be, as long as the cat's not bad, it would be the true pressure before the turbo. But honestly, I have no idea what it would look like. I really can't help you on that one because I don't have a clue. I've never done in cylinder in an exhaust at all. I've only done it in cylinder, in a cylinder. So I wish I could help you on that one, but I have no idea. Foxbox923, I've been struggling with electronic diagnostics. What would you recommend to improve? Exactly what are you struggling with? The biggest thing that I think a lot of people struggle with electronic diagnostics is not understanding the system they're working on and how it works. GM used to put on every one of their trouble codes had code set criteria. I missed that because they don't do it as much anymore. But look at what causes the code to set. How does the system operate? Simply understanding that goes a long way to understanding the system and diagnosing it. Because if you don't understand how the system really works, you're just following a flow chart. But if you understand how the system works, that's what Scanner Danner teaches constantly in his teachings is if you understand circuit design, if you understand, solenoids, if you understand how the system works, it makes it a lot easier. So I would focus, depending on what you're struggling with, to understand Glenn, you're a nut. But that's what I would recommend, depending on what you're struggling with. If you have something specific you might need help with, put it in the chat. Yeah, 2GR Tool, yeah, he agrees with me. I mean, it says no additional resistance to flow at an OT part versus an NA engine. A transducer in the engine will give me back pressure, but the turbo wheel is a variable, yes. Renegade, what's up? Count your blessings. I got a job as a lube tech in Toyota. What can I do to get moved up? Quality work. Make sure quality is not to sound like a commercial. Quality is the most important thing of your job right now. Your job as a lube tech is to do quality, whatever you're doing. You don't want customers complaining about you leaving, oil spots on their, door, oil spots on their door, their carpets. You want, nobody say anything bad about what you've done. Take all the classes you can from Toyota that they offer you. Ask for them. do all the training. Generally, most dealerships will move you up pretty quickly if you do the training. So do all the training and focus on quality. Remember, speed, efficiency comes with repetition and time. So worry about quality, and then, you know, make sure you do all your training that you're required to do, and as much as you can do above that. I'm gonna leave that statement alone of yours. R3YNZ, do you have any plans to attend any training events? Not currently. Taking, you know, most of a month off to go to the United Kingdom kind of killed my vacation time, if you know what I mean. That vacation was supposed to be in 2020, but, you know, all that stuff kind of hit the fan. So, but yeah, that kind of killed my vacation time. So not really going to be taking any time off. You know, nobody wants to pay me to go to SEMA. People wants me to stop by their booth. Nobody wants to actually, you know, sponsor me to go there. So it's SEMA's an expensive trip. I've done that trip years ago, and was, you know, because I work for a company that was showing at SEMA, I could expense it, but it was very expensive to go to SEMA. Ozstar, yeah, there are so many fantastic resources online to learn about whatever subject you're interested in. Oz, we really don't want to know about you watching the Diddy tapes, okay? Just saying. I didn't realize you were into that kind of stuff, but dude, man, seriously? Count your blessings, you're welcome. It's kind of my, you know, my standard advice for anybody that's getting into this industry is you got to focus on quality. You know, a lot of people, okay. Thought my door was opening there. A lot of people, especially, especially when they get into a dealership environment, it's go, 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 go. And it's the worst thing for a young technician is they shouldn't be focusing on speed. They should be focusing on doing it right. Anyway, well, Renegade, I'm hopefully nothing got damaged from your Pepsi. Known him for many years. He mentioned an embarrassing video that another YouTuber has on me, so I'll you know, he didn't mention it in this one. Quacky Tack, love your content. Just saw you were live. Wanted to let you know. Keep up the good work. I appreciate it. ISO, what it do, everybody? Same stuff, different day. Alexi, what's up? How you doing? But yeah, no, I mean, it's, you know, all right. Now, speaking of fantastic resources online, you know, there's Mario's, you know, Super Mario Diagnostics, Diagnostic Dan, Scanner Danner, you know, South Main Auto, you know, there's Weber Automotive. If you don't know him, that's an excellent channel. Weber Automotive, he's a instructor at Weber Automotive College. He does deep dives into a lot of hybrid stuff. He did a massive undertaking of the history of transmission fluid. Very cool, very relating to the history, but Weber Automotive is another good channel that does a lot of less diagnostics, but more of theory operation and how things work. So it's really some cool stuff. Quacky tack. So I used to be a diesel tech in my local municipality at entry level. After college, the pay wasn't horrible. It was a great place to start to learn and gain experience and start building up for retirement. Yeah. Alexi, I'm glad you're doing great. Yeah, no, I mean, there's at a municipality, it's usually not about the gross income, but usually very low stress in most cases, other than emergencies, which we had a bunch of, but generally it's lower stress. The money's usually okay, and the benefits are usually fantastic, so it's not a bad place to go. All Stars cars, I've got a crazy one to diagnose that has me going crazy. 2013 Santa Fe 3.3, 154,000 miles on it. Long-term fuel trims on both banks are around 20. Both short terms around 0. Can't figure out the issue. Smoke test, no leaks. No codes. Oz, first thing I would do is create a vacuum leak or add fuel to it to see if your O2 sensors, your air fuel ratios, that now be O2 sensors, I believe on that year, react. If the fuel trims react, there's no codes. I would generally see if the O2 sensors react in the short term and long term change. Because if you're adding fuel or giving a vacuum leak, it should do something. I generally on 20, I assume you mean negative 20, or I assume it's adding fuel. So giving a vacuum leak or taking away, I would check for that, see if it compensates. Free study ASE study guides is good for basic knowledge. Yeah, 2GR tools. T Corral Snap-on truck came around yesterday. It's breast cancer month, and I have the breast cancer 68 Epic for 2 years now. My wallet's crying. LOL. Can't take it with you when you die. No, you can't. Front O2s are switching perfectly. Rear steady at 0.7 millivolts. There's some basic electrical courses for that one. Yeah, ISO's correct. It's got to be something that affects both banks. So mass airflow sensor, fuel delivery issue, alcohol in the fuel. If like they filled up with E85 and it's not an E85 vehicle, or water in the fuel, etc. So I would be pulling a fuel sample and checking fuel pressures. Then we'll move when snap throttle, so it's compensating. So I would definitely be looking at fuel. Quacky tacky, I don't believe Hyundais use the same kind of system as Chevrolet. They're a lot less common to have flex fuel vehicles than General Motors or Ford. Yeah. Fuel corrections. what I just said, baby. um, yeah, I would be looking at definitely fuel, mass airflow sensor. If it should be a mass airflow sensor. Um, Quacky Tacky PCM Chevy's had a PCM update. We had to send them off to get done. Yeah, the PCM update doesn't fix it. At 2 to 3,000, long-term fuel trims come down to about 5. That would point me towards a misreporting MAF at idle. Honestly, I would be looking heavily at the MAF if it is a MAF car. Should be. Well, said you smoke tested it, right? Smoke test, no leaks. Well, I mean, it could be a smoke testing good. Yeah, I mean, MAF misreporting at idle, higher airflow can skew the results and cause the fuel trims to also show better map numbers. So it's a map. If it's a map car, does it have a mass airflow sensor or a manifold absolute pressure? Because that changes things. Throttle body is clean. Because if it's a map car, vacuum leak will not give you yeah, if it's a map, it doesn't have. If it doesn't have a mass airflow sensor, it's a map car. Only thing a vacuum leak will do on a mass airflow sensor car would be cause a higher idle because they measure it through the O2 sensors. They don't measure actual airflow. But generally, if it doesn't have a mass airflow sensor, no codes, high fuel trims, purge valve, stuck open purge valve would cause probably enough gas fumes and whatever. I'd look at check for a stuck open mass air flow, not mass air, purge valve as well, because that's incredibly common on Hyundais, but would cause some of your issues. But it's a massive map car. Okay, he tested the purge. Yeah. Chances are, Quacky Tacky, it'll get kicked if you post a link. Only a administrator or me can post a link. Yeah, that's a weird one, man. Back of the valves, GDI engine. Yeah, Quacky Tacky. Is it? Said no. Sure did. Glenn's got all the answers. Yeah, I mean, D. Harley, all the technical talk is making me sleepy. Wake me up when the dancing girls come back on. Telling you, this one's a case study. In my opinion, the only one to move forward is a VE test to confirm the mass. MAF is close. Yeah, Glenn, does it have a mass airflow sensor? 2013. DeFay 3.3 mass airflow sensor. As all original, I own the car, LOL. I figured it was yours. According to Google, it does have a mass airflow sensor. Should have been a card. Up to 14. I want to give him credit. 2GR Tools says move forward is a VE test to confirm the mass airflow is correct. Now you can how normally how I know more than 10% alcohol in the fuel. Now normally how I do a mass airflow sensor VE test, I do a kind of ghetto one, is I put in the O2 sensors, you know, on a graph along with mass airflow sensor and RPM and load. I don't. Need some alcohol. This thing's making me crazy. Are the only brand the grams at idle displacement not apply correctly? I don't know. Appreciate Quacky Tacky the oh, I bet that's going to get shut down pretty soon. Yeah, I bet that gets shut down. But anyway. Zephyl, you don't have all data or other descriptions after leaving your job. Don't all mechanics share the shop accounts. Nothing currently. TGR calculated load is a lazy ballpark where today do VEs should be close to 100%. Not all cars go rich at wide up throttle anymore. Many are dead Stokich. Quack, I have a lighter. You got to be careful about that 100%. Closer to 9 over is my rule is over 90%. It's probably okay. Don't waste a bic on Honda. Why can't Identifix just give me the answer? Actual versus... let me see real quick. Panagate asking me about which probes to buy. AES wave all the way. You can get the individual connectors, etc. The ES is okay, but the AES wave test connectors are way better. Deserved is I have not checked with the scope. I tried plugging it in and plugging it back in. Oh, yeah, that's that is a weird one, Glenn. Because, yeah, I mean, it's idle. And just to make sure you have checked the tubing going from the air filter from the mass airflow sensor to the throttle body, I'm assuming. But yeah, I think with I think at this point, Glenn, yeah, R2 is good. That was just to make sure. I think at this point, with everything you've said and you've checked, I would be agreeing with a injector issue having low flow at idle, and it's able to compensate it enough at higher pressure, or not pressures, but longer duration of injecting. You said it was direct injection. I've seen many direct injected engines with idle. I forgot about that. Worn and direct injectors generally come up with lean at idle, and excuse me. So yeah, I would be hard looking at injectors. 3.3 is going to be a bitch to clean the valves on that. But you could try that first. But I would probably say more than likely your injectors are getting worn, depending on the mileage and the fuel you've used. Not even a trace of a crack. Yeah, I like I said, Glenn, that was just strictly for, making sure everybody in the audience knew, because I figured you'd have checked that. You said you smoke tested it, so. Hey, thanks, but I've heard you still need to buy a few more pieces to make a comprehensive kit. Not with the updated kit from AES Wave. The newer models update and add stuff. So, and that was one of the problems why they were out of stock for like a year is they were trying to update to new connectors in the kit. So, yeah, it's a very comprehensive kit. And the other kit you're pointing at is nice, but it does not have as many pieces and is not as comprehensive. Does the Hyundai have the option for injector balance like Honda AFR? Yeah, injectors don't sound outlandish. Yeah, it sounds like injectors. Up to 1100 PSI, yeah. 150,000 miles. Yeah, target versus actual for the fuel pressure. Panigale, glad I could help. Yeah, no, I honestly, Glenn, I have a Ford something or other case study on my channel, and it was injectors. When it came down to it, yeah, the Autel and the X-Tool have an AFR test. Try it, see what it does. Good. I'm glad we could give you some ideas there, Glenn, because that's a little weird. But yeah, I have a case study. If you remember back in the day when we were all chatting on Google, you know, many moons ago, I was asking the guys and they sent me in all sorts of wrong directions, which is surprising me for the brain trust we had. But yeah, no, I have a Ford something or other where I did a case study and it was injectors. Yeah, the good old Google days. That was fun. Man, it was. If you don't know what we're talking about, I'll give you a little background. Several years ago, Google had meetups. You know, it was like a Skype kind of thing. And it was a bunch of us. It was Glenn. It was Erico, Keith DeFazio. Scanner Danner was in there for a minute. Ivan was there. Mike from Wells, you know, whatever, I forgot what they changed the channel name to, but Google Chat, yeah. I'd appreciate it. Ivan even showed up, yeah. Now and then. You know, Diagnosed Dan was there. God. Leon the Irish guy, yeah. God, I'm trying to think of all the other people. I mean, it was Chad over at Practical Mechanic. I'll see if I can find it real quick. Actually, let me do it over here where I'm not logged in. I'm going to try to find that case study for you, Glenn. All right. Yep, I know I'm live. All right. Playlists. Case studies. Nope. Weird engineering. Why is that in case studies? copy. There it is. That's the case study. It was 2015 Ford Fusion PO 171 lean case study. Voltage drop was in there too. Of course, new level. Yeah, that was back in the good old days. All right, close out of that. Go here. PewDiePie, P. Diddy was in there. I got a lot of crap on that video because I think in the chat everybody kept saying fuel pump, fuel pump, fuel pump, and and everybody in the chat kept saying fuel pump, fuel pump, fuel pump. So in the spoiler alert, I put a high pressure fuel pump in it, didn't fix it. The sensor was non-replaceable. It wasn't available. I took it back off and, cleaned it up and sent it back to WorldPack, but it needed injectors. So, count your blessings. Do you see the industry changing for the better in the future for mechanics? Yes and no. I see a larger divide coming in the industry. I think because of electric cars, hydrogen cars, the people are going to have to migrate either to the higher end, i.e. diagnostics, like what we're talking about. And they're primarily going to be diagnosing communication faults and, the hard, weird, difficult stuff. You're going to have a class of just heavy line guys that 90% of what they do is lift in, motors and batteries and engines and stuff like that. And then the guys doing the basic stuff, the tires and stuff like that, I think there's going to be a bigger divide. So figure out what you like to do in this industry as far as automotive. I think you said you were, working fleet. But so I think there's going to be a bigger divide that eventually happens. I don't think it's going to be immediate or even, before I retire. But the industry's getting better in a lot of ways. We had a huge correction to the pay in a lot of ways since the pandemic. A lot of people have stepped up and actually started paying technicians what they should be paying them rather than starvation wages like they've been paying. So hopefully that trend continues. We'll see how the economy goes because that's the big one. Ostar Car says, I'm going to add a bottle of Techron to the car, drink heavily, and pray. Add 2 bottles of Techron. The Techron you can buy at the auto parts store is heavily diluted with basically acetone. You can go... If you go to, if you can find somebody that sells it in your area, BG44K, which little known is Chevron Techron, very high concentration though. Or if you can find concentrated Techron on like Amazon or something like that, the GM branded stuff was really good. I wasn't. D. Harley, I'd love to join in the conversation. Does anyone need to know something about a 1973 Subaru? I was a first fully certified Subaru tech in Kentucky back before most of you were born. That literally is before I was born. I was born in 74. I use the concentrated stuff. I buy it in bulk. Oh, Zephyl, you're nuts. I'm going to usher in the apocalypse of the mechanics, so saith the prophecies. 2GR tools. I don't know. I don't see business owners understanding what is required to move to the more premium models of service. Too many can barely sell or explain diagnostic processes. True. That is a bigger problem in this industry. I mean, there's a lot of bad shops out there. There's no way around that. But hopefully the industry will survival of the fittest, basically, because if they're not staying up with technology and continue to do outmoded business plans like not charging for diagnostics, and as things get more and more complex, if they're not making money on it, they're either going to stop doing it or they're going to continue to lose money on it and then go out of business. That's the hope for a lot of those businesses. They either wise up or get out. But yeah, it's still a problem. Slow Cobra, I appreciate the $4.99 super chat. Snap-on, Tech Angle, Matco, or Icon. What digital half-inch do you recommend? What is the warranty on them? I will be honest. I use Snap-on Tech Angles across the board. I do not have a Matco, and I don't have an Icon. I don't know who makes Icons digital. If you're planning on doing like cylinder heads and torquing heavy, heavy things with a half-inch is what you asked about. As long as you're just done, I don't recommend using a Tech Angle for like wheel, torquing, lug nuts or stuff like that. But if you're planning on doing like head work and, torquing like CV axles and stuff like that, I would definitely get the Tech Angle from Snap-on. If you're not really doing that kind of work, I would go more towards like the split beam that you can get from Icon, a bunch of other companies. They're accurate enough for like wheels, and that's what I use. I don't use any of my Tech Angles. I use a Snap-on split beam. You don't have to reset it. Just go up there, torque it down, and I've heard gear wrench are good. The Mac stuff is really good as well. You didn't mention them, but they're just as expensive as Snap-on. They're Italian made, I believe, if I remember correctly. But they're just as expensive as Snap-on. The warranty on Tech Angle, I believe, is 2 years. I believe Matco is the same. I do not know on the Icon. Charles Johnson, I got a 0.5 start charge test 2012 Tahoe. Basically, battery was bad. Code for Lin line, did the alternator, everything passed on the Midtronic scope. The Lin line, the voltage drop, sold a alternator and the battery. Then my shop takes away the 0.5 starting and testing charge. Yeah, I hate that. I hate that. Did I do the diagnostic? Why am I losing that 0.5? I've hated that. I've always hated that. I've had so many arguments over shop owners doing that crap or service writers. JWC Tech, the Icon is great quality if you're on a budget, but of course the Snap-on Tech Angle is the best. Yeah, Slow Cobra, if you're doing precision work, don't skimp out on a torque wrench. I've made that mistake. It cost the shop another set of head gaskets, and it cost plus another set of bolts because they were broke. And it cost me a bunch of time. So I would just, if you're going that route for head work, engine work, I would cry a little bit, just buy the snap-on tech angle and move on. Standard CV axle, torque nuts, 7-8 Ugga Duggas. Rip some lip outdoors. Quinn is a very nice budget torque wrench for doing head or engine work. Like I said, my problem is it's precision work. You know, CV axle is one thing. You know, lug nuts are also, if you're in the ballpark, you're probably fine. Heads, when you're torquing 3 or 4 times and, you know, an inch-pound on when you're doing torque to yield can mean a lot. It's $369. It says I think that's a limited lifetime warranty Renegade for the Icon. I doubt they have a lifetime warranty on it. D. Harley, on a serious note, a lot of shops are in trouble. If it has a wire on it and we won't work on it, 2 shops would unretire me to help them pound sand, rather go play Lego with grandson. That's a much better use of your time than bailing out shops who can't figure out to hire technicians to know what the hell they're doing and have the information and the equipment for them. I assume you're still in Kentucky, but I mean, it blows my mind that there's still shops out there that can't really properly diagnose cars, even when it's basic. It's really, really, really sad. You know, I've seen cars come in where it's like, this took me 30 seconds to figure out. How could you not do it and make the customer spend $500 on parts that didn't need to be replaced? Chris, the wife got me an induction heater for my birthday. Sneaky, she was listening. Have you ever used one? What do you think of them? Yes, I own an induction heater. The Venom, I think it is. For most things, I prefer a Torch, but in a lot of cases, don't get me wrong, it comes in very handy for a lot of different things. You know, if it's melted, it can't be stuck. So, you know, for certain jobs of but for a lot of uses, it's really great. I've used them on many different things. And having the extra tips really does help. FYI, any of the coils the insulation on them starts breaking down and starts turning into like dust, throw it away. If the coils touch each other and enough voltage goes through, it will fry your tool. So yeah, Renegade said the also digital torque wrench also has lifetime warranty, but I don't think it does angle. I don't believe it does. So angle's really kind of important for, you know, a lot of cars nowadays. 2GR tools. I've met a lot of techs who can't use a test light on a light bulb circuit. Oh. Yeah, no, unfortunately, I've had to show many, many people how to use a test light, and that's really, really, really sad. I mean, I use my OTC test lights all the freaking time. They're just an invaluable tool to have around. I mean, I think I've got 2 or 3 at this point. Yeah, I think I've got 2 that I've modified with the banana clips, and then 1 that's a virgin still. TGR Tools, I haven't found any brand give a calibration warranty, just a warranty for the ratchet head essentially. Snap-on, the entire tool is warranted for I think 2 years. Don't quote me on that. It might be a year. The thing about calibration is is you're supposed to get it recalibrated all the time. You know, depending on the industry you're in, some industries you have to calibrate your stuff like once a year. Most people don't ever send their torque wrench into warranty or to calibrate them ever, but that you should. They should be recalibrated every couple years at least. All-Star cars are inexpensive angle adapters. The problem with a lot of angle adapters is where you got to use them. I've had many issue with even fitting an angle adapter in. God, I can't remember what car it was, but like I had to use it. I literally was my snap-on torque wrench was against the firewall, digging into the steel, torquing heads on that car. So an adapter can add complexity to a repair. But yes, they do have expensive angle adapters. They have expensive ones too. They have digital ones and all that. But it adds height. And a lot of times when you're doing heads, especially in a car, it can complicate things. Outside of a car, yeah. I mean, heck, you can do, paint marks and figure out 90 degrees. Rip some lips outdoors. I laughed every time we had a customer would come in and say the part store says, the code says I need this part. LO. We would have to talk them into diagnosis. Yes. I hate that. I've told this story before. I don't know if I've told it recently. We had a customer, and this was years and years and years and years ago. And the shop owner charged diagnostics, and I was working at a place. I was a Saturday, and he'd gone to AutoZone, and they told him he needed 4 new O2 sensors. It was a Ford, a mass airflow sensor, an EGR valve. He'd put all of that stuff on. Okay. Probably close to $1,000 of stuff that day. And he's like, I still have these codes. With the customer in the waiting room, I walked out to the car with a scan tool, popped the hood, scanned it, looked at fuel trims, climbed under the hood, reached in there, saw the leaking. This is a 4.6 or 5.4 PCV elbow with a hole in it. Shut it off, shut the hood, closed the hood, wrote down the mileage, walked back in, gave him my report. In 5 minutes, the guy, it was a $150 part, and I think I charged him a half hour to install it. But that story is incredibly crazy that stuff still happens, where they will believe a part store over a technician. We should have the authority to, in their minds. And that's the problem, is in the average consumer's mind, a part store would know better than we. And that's why it's so effed up. 99% of the time, it wouldn't be the part store that told them. Of course, they go online. They can be bulky, yeah. Charles Johnstone, my Cornwall dealer doesn't have a place to calibrate my torque ratchets here in Houston. I'll ask tomorrow. Charles, they will have a torque checker. Any of your, a lot of tool dealers have them. All it does is it's a measurement tool that checks the accuracy of it. It's not calibrating it. All you're doing is verifying that it's at a certain torque, it's accurate to their beat up their checker. To calibrate a torque wrench is sent out. It's always sent to the manufacturer. That's who does the calibrations. All it is a checker. All it does is check what it does. So generally it's a good way to tell if you need to do, but yeah, you in order to get it calibrated, you have to, send it out. D. Harley, Mike, you should park Flat Rate or versus Owl for a while and teach electrical. It's a serious deficiency out there. That's further down the line. I'm still young enough to do the Flat Rate thing. So, Renegade Garage says, "Wow, the Quinn Digital torque angle is only 179. Really?" Dang. I mean, if it's accurate. That's interesting. I mean, that's a really good price. Thanks, Renegade, for pointing that out. Ostar, hold my thumb vertically and hold my head sideways. Never miss an angle by more than 20 degrees. Oh, no, I've done the take a paint marker, mark the head bolt and the head, and then, approximately 90 degrees off, mark it again, or on the bolt or whatever. But yeah, I've done that. 2GR, yep, see the same nonsense from part stores. Nobody cares about diagnosing your problem, just throw parts. Well, part store, they sell parts. Ben Van Amberg, I like your channel. Choose your favorite KNIPEX or gear wrench. My favorite KNIPEX would have to be the Cobra pliers. I have a whole set of those and I use them constantly. Aspire, torque to yield, 6-sided fastener, each flat is 30 degrees or so. I mean, 90 degrees also isn't hard to eyeball either. 2GR tools, paint is fine until an engineer gives you a prime number as the angle. 50 foot-pounds plus 41 degrees type nonsense. LOL. Yes, I have seen that. I want to say it's Chrysler 3.6, but it's like torque the heads, then run them down, torque the heads to something, back them off, torque them again, then like 4 different degrees or something like that. I forget exactly what. I've only done 2 head jobs on 3.6s. They usually wind up getting an engine. But yeah, no, I hate that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's why I have tech angles. A lot of times, because, you're going through and a lot of times there's only so much reach, especially if you're doing it in a car. The tech angle where it allows you to ratchet just is so nice. Rip some lip outdoors. Does anyone else love working on DEF, DPF systems? Note, I work at a GM dealer just now. I have not actually ever worked on a DEF system, other than putting the fluid in. I don't work on diesels and haven't since long before DEF really became a thing. None of the shops I've worked at in recent history have worked on diesels. So I have zero experience with them other than seeing stuff online. Yeah, the 3/8 one is $10 cheaper, $169. Subaru does that. 2GR, something like 7 or 8 steps. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like do this. It's like, oh god. But it's precision machinery, so you do what they say. JWC Tech, my decision maker on the torque wrench is Snap-on goes to 300 foot-pounds. Most others are 250. Yeah. Yep. That's why I have the Snap-on too. It's 300 foot-pounds. Oh. Aspire Cat C15 main con rods are 485 plus 30 degrees. I was doing a squat on a tire. The old timer showed me a torque multiplier plus torque wrench. Rip some lip outdoors. You would figure they would make a better design for the DEF DPF heaters. Complete garbage. I hate DEF. It's just stupid. So yeah, I would 100% agree with that. It's just so yeah. Count your blessings. What impact sockets do you recommend? So first and foremost, 90% of the sockets I use are impacts. I have impacts from 1/4 inch all the way up to, well, technically 3/4, but 3/4 and 1 inch, but all the way up to 1/2 inch. 99% of what I do is using a impact socket. I currently use a mix of Snap-on and Matco, and most of that being US made Snap-on and Matco, not the ADVs. I do have some ADVs in 1/4 inch, but actually I think both my 1/4 inches are ADV. But a really good impact sockets is Sunex. Sunex, Gray Pneumatic are also really good. The Milwaukee stuff is decent. Little stubbier than I'd like, but as long as you can get the Taiwanese stuff from Sunex, that's the only thing about Sunex is supposedly they're moving their manufacturing to China, but if you get the Taiwanese stuff, it's really, really good. Their warranty is great. Pretty much, always good. I found 12-point and chrome is a good combo. Yeah. No, I use the 12-point stuff because I'm not spending a bunch of extra money. Fun fact, the first Snap-on dealer I had pretty much only stocked 12-point. For whatever reason, I don't know. So a lot of my early chrome Snap-on stuff is 12-point. So like my Snap-on, 3/8 and SAE and metric is 12-point, and I've used those. So, but yeah, so I still use that stuff. Impact for everything else, yeah. 2GR, if you're doing it for a living, buy the tool struck for the warranty. 1/2 inch drives are straight up consumables. Yes, they are. That is something important to note. They are consumables. They wear out. Rip some lip outdoors. GM went to non-serviceable heaters. You have to replace the whole tank due to being all one unit. Almost always connector melted on the tank. If I could talk. Makes it easier to service it. probably makes probably the main reason is it makes it easier to build. But yeah, that sucks. Renegade, I was just about to say that about Sonics. Yeah. J.H. Williams is also good. 2GR tools. I burn out a 1/2-inch drive, 17mm swivel at least once a year. 12 points on every day. Cries and rust belt. 2GR, no. I use them. I bought a bunch of 12-point stuff when I first started buying on the tool trucks, and then bought the Impacts. And so they're all relatively new-ish. They mostly just look pretty in my toolbox. I don't actually really use them much for anything other than when it's a 12-point socket. Like I did a bunch of, or I did a couple, and then another technician did a couple Honda clutches where the pressure plate are 10mm and the pressure plate's 17mm 12-point. No, the rest of my stuff is all 6-point. I almost never use 12-point. But the 12-point stuff I have is all chrome. Yeah, no, I don't. Aspire, I realize I don't have any 3/8 impacts. I use a 1/4-inch gainer for that roll. Nothing below 1/2-inch impacts in my box. Yeah, I mean, working on bigger stuff, you know, I use 3/8 a lot. So, Star, the 12-point strip easier than the girls at the Go-Go bar. Yep. I like to throw them in the metal recycling. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, they're just literally sitting in my toolbox. They look pretty. That's about it. I've had to use, you mean not enough memory? Okay, I don't know what the heck happened. I don't know if we lost out or what. Pop out chat. Oops. Count your blessings. Do you think it's better to work at Toyota or for GM? Probably Toyota, simply because the customers for Toyota tend to be better customers and tend to go to the dealership more than GM customers. GM customers tend to be aftermarket shop customers after the warranty runs out. So 2GR, Astro 1/4-inch and 3/8 nanos are impacts and work great on the handles. Astro sells for 2 for 1. Yeah. Rip some lip outdoors, worked on an '07 Mountaineer. As of recently, guy had to go to multiple shops due to a shifting issue. Had me look at it, told him after a bit of diag I would fix his issue with coils. LOL. Oh, I have a story that ties into that. Unfortunately, pretty sad. We had a technician who, luckily did not sell a transmission. Customer had no check engine light. I was brought in for a second opinion. He had written it up for a transmission, and he was, convinced it needed a transmission. And so I go out, and he's like, the service writer came to me and said, I need a better opinion. I need a second opinion on this because, another shop had already told me he needed a transmission, but didn't sit right with the service advisor, which was good because I went test drove it and it was a fish bite misfire. It was, you get under it. It was hard to get it to do it, but if you got it to do it, you could tell it was misfiring. It was not a transmission issue. It was misfiring. And came back to the shop and fought with the technician about it. He's like, no, it's not a coil issue. I'm like, pulled up mode 6 and showed, it's a Ford. And it was like, here, look, misfires. Put coils and plugs in it. I was right. So anyway, but yeah, it was... but yeah, I've heard that several times, and I was like, the guy almost wound up putting a transmission in there for coils. JWC Tech, if I've been wanting a new VIM nanobit socket, you should check one out. World's smallest. It's so cute. Oh yeah, it looked great in my hands. Aspire, when I started at my fleet, I was geared to heavy equipment, a lot of SAA and 3/4. I had to buy some 1/4-inch stuff. Glenn, note to self, I need no skip set of 1/4-inch impact sockets. Oh. Chris Storback, what are your thoughts of augmented reality or AI to assist techs, or perhaps a mainstream adoption of hiring chimpanzees at below minimum wage for extra difficult diagnostics? Well, augmented reality, it's several years from the reality. AI, AI is very much garbage in, garbage out. And as anybody that has looked at Snap-on, their diagnostic stuff, or Identifix has seen, techs are kind of assholes. Oh, what caused it? What caused it? Oh, I took a dump and it was fixed. Literally seen that in Identifix. The problem is it's so much that has to learn about this industry and so much changing technology pretty rapidly that people are going to start using it. I mean, there's no way around that. I mean, people are already using AI to answer emails from auto repair shops. The service writers are using AI. People are using AI to apply to jobs, et cetera, et cetera. So it's coming. I don't know how useful it really is going to be. Yeah, rip some lip. Squirrels are aftermarket, cause electronic units on data lines. Yeah, been there. Aspire, there's someone in my area that is a diagnostician, doesn't do the repair, only recommends work. He doesn't miss in the last 8 years or so. Yeah, really good diagnostic guys do that a lot. Also, yesterday on Prime Day, I found the Toolant Impact Hex bit set, which works well for the nano ratchet. They also have 17 millimeter shank. Zero misfires. Yeah. JJ, yes, I'm enjoying the Gen 2 Milwaukee Stubbies. I've got the 1/2 inch and the 3/8. Chris, the industry is dialed in on who brands, most tool truck brands, but where are the top sources for hardware? The OEM replacement hardware and is the bulk of the job cost. Your thoughts? Most of it is there's stock hardware that a lot of manufacturers just buy in bulk. So, XYZ stuff. But the specialty stuff is pretty much made for them. So, unless you know the source and whether or not they'll sell outside of that source is unlikely. Because it's basically they designed this specific fastener for this particular job, and they make a bunch of them and then sell them to Ford and then sit in a warehouse until they don't have them anymore. Brian, how you doing? Rip some lip outdoors. Anyone had the luxury to work on any of the new EV vehicles? Being up north in the snow, but I'm glad to say I haven't yet. I've not worked on any EVs. Worked on hybrids, but never any EVs. Renegade are really wanting those Gen 2 M12 Impacts. They really do. They really are nice. My favorite is I've never accidentally changed the power level. But, they're nice. I mean, they're really good bit more power, etc. But but that's my favorite things. Really is the not accidentally turning on that stupid. I hate that mode. Oh, how to Automotive get the parts cannon out. Come on, go over there. That was weird. Oh. Wait, what? Oh, okay. That was weird. Rip some lip outdoors. What does everybody run if you have air tools for line size? Standard 1/4 inch fittings and 3/8 lines. I went on Scotty's channel. He solved my erectile dysfunction with a cigar. Of course he did. Good old Scotty for the win. Yeah. Huh. 204. Huh. It's weird. Renegade would be nicer if my M12 right angle impacts had that much power. Yes. Yeah, I was always kind of disappointed in the right angle impacts. They have good power. They just don't have as much power as I would have hoped. So hopefully, Gen 2. Rip some lip outdoors. 1/2 inch really woke up my tools. Talked to the shop GM into upgrading all the flexible drop lines. That's cool. I mean, I've worked at shops that had 3/4 inch. I don't use much air tools, but I've worked with 3/4 and 1 inch impacts, and you have to have 3/4 to 1 inch supply line to supply them. So. Chris Storback, new technology is usually mocked, then hated, then adopted. At first, I didn't like AI, but I can see, especially with quantum computing power, how revolutionary it can be for the industry. Chris, you can run AI technology natively on home GPUs. If I wanted to run several different AI programs, I could do it locally here in my home lab. Home lab is a computer lab, not other stuff. Glenn. But yeah, no, I think it'll Zeffel, you're not like those YouTube creators who are scared that their videos have been used to train AI. They always get mad when I tell them that AI didn't learn anything. The fact of the matter is anything you do online can be fed one way or another into AI. Premiere Pro and the software I use to edit and do thumbnails has to be online to use, and they can take my videos right through there, not legally, but that's one of the problems with a lot of AI learning is that they're not doing things legally. They're using gray area to. I knew, Glenn, you were going to go there. No. Home lab with servers. I have servers in my home lab. Not no dang meth. But yeah, there's a lot. The problem is a lot of the legal stuff hasn't been, hashed out. Like Scarlett Johansson being used by ChatGPT for their voice. Aspire, I have two lines. One is regulated at 120. Some cheaper grind tools hate high line pressure. Other side is unregulated and has 5/8 and 3/8 reel, but a heavy duty shop. Yeah. Rip some lip outdoors. What's one of the most troublesome jobs you've ever worked on? Mine was a FedEx box truck with a 6.6 gas GM. Most troublesome was a 97 or 98 Corvette. That thing was a freaking nightmare. It kept going back and forth between me and another tech, and we never got it running right. And it just was a nightmare that would not leave. Andrew Adolph, what was the most you made in a year as a tech? Most I've made as a tech was $160,000. Count your blessings. I have a 1/2-inch Milwaukee, but not the stubby. Do you use the stubby a lot? Yes, I use the stubby a lot. I don't use my full-size Milwaukee that much. I normally use the mid-torque, the compact, the Gen 2 stubbies, and then the ratchets. Is FRM is really Heisenberg in the ATL? No. Nope. I not even close. Glenn, that was my problem. I didn't wear jean shorts and New Balance. What the hell was I thinking? ISO, yeah, I was foreman. 2GR, yes. Definitely partly because of my location. As I said in many videos, the reason I commuted that far away was for the money. Brian, you know how those conversations with Glenn go, right? All right. What other questions or crap do you want me to answer? Well, crap. Apparently, I auto played through my playlist and yeah. Who, me? Glenn? Yeah. Okay, Walter. Rip some lip outdoors on the 6.6 FedEx truck. It was to 5 other shops for a fuel pump. I chased my tail for works on week on it between other vehicles. Ended up being a damaged fuel pump connector on the top of the 55-gallon tank. Oh, God. Zethel, everyone is as excited as I am that a Starship should be launching this weekend. It's going to be amazing, especially catching the rocket landing. Glenn, I haven't said anything about midgets this entire live stream yet. Yeah. Till now, I made them. Or Brian did. Yes, Chris. I work on cars for the money. Just because I enjoy it doesn't mean I want to do it for free. ISO, where can I learn electrical? I'm struggling. I'm a little self-taught mostly. I know how to use a power probe and multimeter decent. Oh, God. Learn ISO, learn circuit design. The more you know about how a system works, the easier it is to diagnose. Zeffel uses midgets in his lab to save on space. Glenn Bridget, the midget for the win. You guys. ISO, have you talked to the other guys from your last shop? Aaron stops in every now and then in the chat here. I've talked to a couple of guys that are no longer at that shop several times. Paul has been in the chat, but that's pretty much it. I haven't talked to anybody else. They haven't reached out to me either, so no bad feelings. Just I haven't reached out to them, and they haven't reached out to me, other than the occasional like of somebody's post on Facebook. Rip some lip out. Have you worked at a shop where it all seemed like all you got was DOA and no starts all the time? For a while there at the old shop, it seemed like all we got was beat to crap Hyundai Elantras. No lie, we had 3 of them in the shop at one time and another one in the parking lot with a bad engine. ISO, I think your replacement foreman knew you were getting let go before it happened, probably. Bam Bam probably knew. It is what it is. I am a lot happier not going there, so don't really care. Not my problem, not my monkey, not my circus anymore. So, Oz, you always rip your yoga pants. I think you do it deliberate just to show the guys the goods. LOL, Glenn and Brian, yeah. Yep, Renegade, yeah. I've only dealt with them separately. I've never dealt with them together, which bet is quite interesting. Zeffel, have you ever seen any shops locally that just specialize in something like Honda Civics? Not specifically Honda Civics, but Hondas and Toyotas is normally the big one, and then European shops that only do European. There's a company that's not too far from the old shop that they have a shop that is only European, so they work on Land Rover, BMW, Minis, etc., etc. And then they have a second location that only works on Asian cars. They don't work on domestic cars at all. Glenn, I'm telling you guys, grind brings out the best in me. Fortunately, we never been arrested in Las Vegas. Yeah. I'm sure there's been very close calls, though. Yeah. All-Star's car is Glenn, and How To Automotive is Brian. Ripsum Lip Outdoors, have you ever used a breakout box before in line with your DLC? If you do, what brand do you use? OTC. Yes, many times. I've pretty much, if the easiest way to get to the CAN network on a car that's not on a gateway module, easiest way to scope the networks is right at the DLC with a breakout box. Amazon cheapies work fine too. Yeah, my first one was the thing I like about the OTC one is the LEDs. But yeah, you can get cheapy ones too. I saw a shop, Zeffel, I saw a shop that specializes in Subaru Foresters and Outbacks. They have a parking lot full of those things and a metal dumpster full of transmissions they've replaced. Yeah, I can imagine that. I know there's a shop up in like Washington that he specialized in Subarus, and he, Washington State, he was killing it. Rip some lip out. I can't say how many times that unit has saved my butt on time. Yeah. All-Stars Cars, if Milwaukee ever invited me to their tool convention, I could demonstrate how well behaved I really am not. And I don't get invited anymore either, so. 2GR, be very careful with cheap breakout boxes. Got burned with a resistance problem on a CAN network from a cheapie. Now I have AAS Wave. I've never run into that, but I've only owned two. So I personally recommend the OTC. I've had great success with it. They're not expensive. Yeah, that is good to know. I've like my first one was Blue Point, and then my second one was OTC. So, and I gave a Blue Point to Billy, I think. Count your blessings. Can you make good money working on classics? Only if it's restoration services and the shop charges properly, which means they pay per hour of what you work on it. Other than that, like a conventional shop is not going to bill right on classics, and it's really going to wind up being no. Chris Storbeck, and here I am using factory leads, just jammed right in the DLC pins this whole time. Dude, the sad part is I've seen that many times. 2GR fluctuating network resistance on a no-com issue. Issue was the box itself. Connected directly to GFC back probe resistance was fine. Will our AES Wave Bob is the best bang for the buck in my opinion. Count your blessings. What's your dream car? I really like. This is my age, so 1986 Monte Carlo SS Burgundy decaled with T-tops and a swapped in LS engine. Kind of my dream car, but they're stupid expensive, and but it's always a car I kind of wanted to build, but I don't have room to build it. You know, right now my driveway has too many cars in it as it is, because adult kids with cars. 2GR, no money in boomers, just junk classics. Yeah, I mean, you have to be at the right shop where the clientele just pays. And most shops are not like that. Swapped. Need a mustache and a mullet too. Well, 2GR Tools swapped. The original engine in that car was 120 horsepower 305. There ain't nothing cool about the original engine. You know, Oster, Glenn, how's your Chevy truck holding up now? It's a GMC, by the way. Issues? No. No issues. It's like 40,000 miles now, I think. I don't remember. But yeah, no real problems with it. Yeah, no, I think it's over 40,000 now. LS swap that money, you have a hot rod. Yep. Our only money I've ever made in classics is from a dude with a right-hand drive diesel Land Cruiser. Did you work on my old boss's Land Cruiser? Because that's what he bought. He just didn't care about the price, just wanted it fixed. Yeah, like I said, you have to work in a shop that specializes in classic to make money. Zeffel, as I've become older, I've become less about dream cars and more about trucks and trailers. Just sell it before the lifters start crashing. LOL. Chris Dobrak had a 68 Impala, beautiful in today, vintage air, 5.3, 4L60E. Modern suspension, disc brakes, got an alignment and a 0.5 for a belt. Customer does his own work, no money in classics. Like I said, Chris, if you're a specialty shop where you do restorations, you can make money. But you're talking about $40,000 to $60,000 on one car. So my buddy's GMC transmission is trash. I think bangs more than my girlfriend's did. 2GR Tools. Zeffel says, I started to see auctions skyrocketing, classic cars being pushed to the market. I think there's going to be a lot of classics on the market cheaply in the coming decade. Boomers are dying, people. And their kids are going to be selling their collections of their classic cars. So the market's probably going to take a crash when they really start dying off. Chevy Caprice is swap. 2GR, most of the classics I get are junky 70s, 80s stuff after the parts cabinet gets low, wants to crawl around all over you. Brings Summit parts that don't fit. God, I hate Summit parts. They're Jags. 2000 model, according to Chris, can fetch historic tags in Ohio soon. Laughing my ass off. Yeah. 2GR, at some point, a GTO will be as desirable as a Model T just the way it is. Yeah. No, I mean, those cool 32 Fords, nobody really wants them anymore, Oz. It's, you know, it's our generation is kind of, hot rods and that kind of stuff kind of are going away, and they're more interested in other things. Count your blessings. If I have a full-size half-inch Milwaukee, you think I need an air impact? Only for very, very specific jobs, like rotating shafts. Like if you're doing a bunch of struts, the Milwaukees, if you don't have tension on the shaft, it'll spin the shaft. So just how electric motors work versus air. So if you do a bunch of struts, yes. If not, no. Zephyr, I definitely have not made money on my 2005 Chevrolet Classic. Rip some lip. Yes, in my area, a lot of older techs are retiring, and a lot of you new techs coming in are in trouble. 2GR, I let them bring them parts in now. Had to scream it out with management over that nonsense. Don't let them bring parts in. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, Chris Storbeck, I have a early model Toyota Prius with numbers matching hybrid battery. I'm gonna hold on to it for a Barrett Jackson auction. You say that, but that's actually something that'll probably happen. Oh, that is something that'll probably still happen. All right. Before I get out of here, do we have any last minute questions before I head the heck out of here? Because I got to use the restroom. But yeah, any last minute questions you want to get answered before I head on out? Dang it, Glenn, come on. Yeah, they're to a 2GR. They're also lighter, less stress on picking up and all that. Yeah, air supply is a problem at a lot of shops. Trust me. Glenn, thanks for stopping in. Chris, appreciate it. All about safety. Yeah. Brian, thanks for stopping in. Glad everybody could stop and we could have some fun, but I'm going to go ahead and head out. So appreciate it as always. Thanks for watching. I am the Flat Rate Master.